through what I watched in March because we're almost halfway into April, so I thought I'd better get this video done. We'll have a quick dive into the chat. You guys let me know if you can see and hear me okay. That would be great. I think the volume is okay. Let me just boost it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That seems to be working okay. So give me a wee second here to make one or two quick changes. There we are. Excellent. Okay, let's dive into the chat here. Wilkie, hey all. Thanks for tuning in, bud. So it's about 11. What time is it here in the UK in Scotland? So it's about 11:15 on a Sunday night here. So it's pretty late, but I thought it would be an interesting experiment to see, who's online at this time. Probably not most of the UK because it's a Sunday night at 11:15. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, Wilkie. Wind Grace or Wind Grace? Actually, I meant to ask you, is it wind like bind or wind like a blowing wind? Anyway, yep, thanks. That's just some random royalty-free music that I've got as part of the day job that I've loaded into the little audio mixer thing that I've got down here. This wee thing here. Good. The sound and video is working for you. That's good to know. Looks and sound good. Thanks very much, Wilkie. How are you doing, buddy? Caught some of your live stream the other day there. Wind like a windmill. Graceful like the wind. Like it. Thanks very much for clearing that up. Okay, let's crack on with the watch list of not of April. What month are we in? It was March. So if I cut to that, so that's everything that I watched in March. I started off quite busy with movies. Let me see if I can put on this. Yeah. So let's go back to the start of March. March 1st, I went to a midnight screening of Dune 2, and probably one of the only people on the planet that was just not taken by Dune 2. The review, my review of it is on the channel. I'll link to it in the description after the live stream. But yeah, I think after almost a year on YouTube, my review of Dune 2 probably brought me my first, barrage of hate, I suppose. Not so much on YouTube, but on TikTok, they were not shy about letting me know how wrong I was with my review of Dune 2. Saw that on a midnight showing. Probably not the best movie to see at a midnight showing because it's not a fast movie. It's not a short movie. But yeah, just wasn't a huge fan of Dune 2. Kind of much like wasn't a huge fan of Dune Part 1. I think I gave it 5 out of 10 on my review. Didn't dig it, but most of the planet did, so that's okay. Then I think later on that day, so that was like, the midnight show and came home, went to sleep. And then the next day, I got the Batman, like the Michael Keaton, the original Batman 4 movies, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. I got the 4K box set of that, the 4K Steelbook box set of that ages ago, but I'd never actually sat and watched the 4K of, we'll just bring it up here, there we go. So Tim Burton's 1989 Batman. I'd never actually watched the 4K of that, and the kids had never actually seen the original Batman, so I thought, well, let's force the kids to watch Batman. None of them enjoyed it that much. I think the oldest gave up fairly quickly and just went up to a room to watch Vampire Diaries. The younger two stuck with it. It's kind of aged fairly well. It's still a good movie. I know for a lot of people, the Michael Keaton Batman, the 1989 Batman, is their Batman. For me, my Batman is actually Batman Forever. I think it's I think it's linked to, you know, the age you are and, you know, the time that you see these Batman movies. So like Batman Forever came out in what, like 94 or 95, so I would have been like 10 or 12 or something. So that's actually been my Batman at the time, as opposed to the Michael Keaton ones. And then, you know, we won't get into the George Clooney one. Excuse me, I'm going to hit the cough button. Just getting over a cold. That's why I've not put much online in the past couple of weeks. It's the dreaded spring cold has been making its rounds throughout the whole family for the better part of a month. But yeah, we sat and watched Batman 1989. I would say it probably does still hold up fairly well. The thing that stood out to me with it was it's very clearly shot on on sound stages. It's got that look of being shot on a soundstage, but it was cool to watch after all these years. The 4K disc is really good. I'm not much of a analysing the HDR and the 4K versus the Blu-ray versus the DVD. There's other channels that do that much better than I ever could. But yep, the 4K disc looked great. Let's jump into the chat here before we move on. I'm also testing a little, where is it? There we go. So I'm testing a new comment showy type thing, but it's cutting off some of the text, as you can see there from Josh. So let me see if I can fix that. There we go. That's it fixed. What do I need to do? Bring it. There we go. That's that fixed. So Josh Temple, well, I finally made it to a show, so never fear Mad is here. Love the Scottish accent. I'm 3/4 Scottish and love to hear people with a proper speaking tongue. Thanks very much, Josh. I am 4/4 Scottish. I think actually, well, I remember many moons ago, like over a decade, maybe even 2 decades ago, I did one of those like ancestry, analysing things. I think originally, like hundreds of years ago, my family came over from France. But yeah, it's for at least 6 generations. It's Scottish born and bred. What part of Scotland is the 1/4 of you that is Scottish is from? What part of Scotland is that part of you from, Josh? Thanks very much for tuning in. Let's see what else. Wilkie, love Batman 89. Got to see this one in the theatre. Wow! And I thought I was old. I definitely didn't get to see Batman 89 in the theatre. I would have been, hang on, let me do some quick math here. I would have been 6? Yeah, I'm sure I was 6. The first, like I said, the first Batman movie I got to see in the cinema was Batman Forever, and I think that ties in with why it was my favourite Batman. Let's see, we've got Wind Grace, not Wind Grace, but Wind Grace. One of the 3 people on Earth who doesn't have Batman and Robin. I'm guessing that's a typo and you meant to say hate. Oh yeah, I can see your comment there. Yeah, hate. I don't hate Batman and Robin. Let me bring your comment back up. I don't hate it. I've kind of got a little bit of a soft spot for it. I really like the soundtrack to it. I know we're not allowed to like R. Kelly, but like, guy's got some good songs, and Gotham City from the Batman and Robin soundtrack is a pretty good tune. The Arnie as Mr. Freeze. I mean, is it the worst? Yeah, I'm going to say it's not the absolute worst movie in the world, but of all the Batman's movies, yeah, it's probably at the bottom of the list. If I was to do a ranking of Batman movies, I would say Batman and Robin would probably be the worst. But yeah, let's move on. What did we watch after Batman? So that was way back on the 1st of April. A couple of days later, we watched Thor: Love and Thunder. This was the 2 youngest got to choose the movie that we watched that day, and they wanted to watch a Marvel movie, and Love and Thunder is the one that they settled on. I'm actually probably more up on Love and Thunder than I think most people are. It's not as good as Ragnarok. It's not as good as the first Thor movie. A lot of people don't actually like the first Thor movie, but I definitely have. I definitely really like the first Thor movie. But yeah, a lot of people aren't hugely up on that. But yeah, the kids wanted to watch that, so that was probably the fourth time I've watched that, including the one time at the cinema. It's one of those movies that the kids actually keep coming back to, and they enjoy it. And yeah, it's what's not to like. Again, not as good as Ragnarok, not as good as the first Thor movie, but of all the Marvel movies post Endgame, it's definitely in the upper half, I would say, of the good Marvel movies post Endgame. So yeah, we watched Love and Thunder. What was next? That was on the 3rd of April. Yeah, Spaceman on the 5th of April. This is the Netflix Adam Sandler movie. I actually did a review on this one. I'll link to that in the description after the fact as well. I quite like this one. It's an odd movie. I think I titled my review "Relationship Advice from a Giant Space Spider," which is a fairly accurate description of the movie. It's Paul Dano voices a space spider and gives relationship advice to Adam Sandler. Won't say much more on that. You can check the movie out. It's on Netflix. You can check out my review. That's on the channel. But yeah, I really quite liked it. It's not overly long. I think it's like only maybe 90 minutes or maybe 100 minutes, so it's not overly long. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I think you need to be in a certain mood to watch it. But yeah, quite liked it. So that was Spaceman. Let's quickly dive back into the list. Let's see what else. Let's have a look at the comments actually. Welky, what are you saying? I'm an old one. Yeah, you don't look at me. I would have, based on your thumbnail picture, I would have said you were my age, if not younger. So whatever you're doing, it's clearly working. So, let us know what that secret is. Josh, I'm from Clan Kennedy, Agnew, Bruce and Wallace. 1/4 Spanish from the northern part and 1 part Argentinian, but been in the US all my life. So Spanish, Scottish, and Argentinian. Anyway, that sounds like a good mix. But thanks again for tuning in. Let's see. We'll go back to the list here. The next day, I watched something I've been wanting to watch for a while. It came out last year. It's an Apple TV, Apple Plus original. It's Tetris, which is not a video game movie like Mario is a video game movie or like Sonic is a video game movie. This is more like think The Social Network, but instead of Facebook, it is the game Tetris and how it gets made. Well, actually, it's less about how it gets made. It's just a bit more. The way I describe it probably won't make it sound good, but it's about the kind of like the licensing and crazy rights issues between like Japan, the rest of the world, America, and Russia, because it was a Russian guy that invented the game or created the game. At the time, it was the Soviet Union. It was a communist country, so there was all of those issues to deal with. This makes it sound like a terribly boring movie. It's not. It's actually quite lighthearted and quite fun. Taron Egerton plays the lead. Can't remember the name of his character, but he's the guy who like basically wants to buy the game or license the game and bundle it with the original Game Boy. So there was a bit of nostalgia factor that came with that, because I remember having a Game Boy as a kid. I remember playing Tetris. That was a huge part of my childhood, a huge part of, I think, anyone, between like 35 and 45 who was into video games as a kid. They had, they had a Game Boy. They played Tetris. So yeah, it's on Apple TV Plus. It's pretty decent. It kind of came and went without much fanfare, but I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, check out Tetris on Apple TV Plus if you have that and you're interested in how Tetris came about. Right, let's see. Let's go back to the list. What was next? Poor Things. I actually did a video review for this, but the hard drive got corrupted, and I just couldn't bring myself to record it again because it was very much like a one take ramble. Yeah, I didn't see this one in the cinema. Heard a lot about it. There was a lot of Oscar buzz, obviously. I think this would have been obviously after the Oscars that I watched it. It's on Disney Plus, I think. And yeah, that's an odd movie. It's a brilliant performance from Emma Stone. Mark Ruffalo as well is really good in it. He walks a very fine line between being like kind of caricaturish and cartoonish. What's his name? Willem Dafoe is in it, almost unrecognisable, and I think he's doing a Scottish accent. I'm not 100% sure if he is or not. I'm not 100% sure if he was 100% sure if he was doing a Scottish accent or not. But yeah, it was an interesting one. It's not a movie I've seen anything like before or since. The score actually really stood out to me. I'm a big fan of movie soundtracks. As you can see there, that's the Coco soundtrack. I've been spinning that for the better part of a week or something. So I've ordered the vinyl soundtrack for Poor Things because that really stood out to me as something. Oh, hang on, my stool's falling apart. Oh no. Yeah, so Poor Things on Disney Plus. Weird movie, brilliant performances. Weird movie, good soundtrack. Let's quickly jump into the comments. Did you see that? Yo, Jimmy, how we doing, my man? Thanks for tuning in. I thought you might be still up at this time. I said at the start of the live stream, based in the UK, starting a live stream on a Sunday night at 11:30. Wait, Sunday night? No, Monday night. This whole day, genuinely, this whole day I was thinking it was wait, is it Sunday? No, it's Monday. It's Monday. I thought the whole day today was Sunday, but it's Monday, so ignore that. Anyway, I said at the start of the live stream, starting a live stream on a Monday night, thinking it was Sunday, at 11:30, probably not a good idea here in the UK, but it would be interesting to see who was still up and who from, across the pond might actually tune in. So thanks very much for tuning in. Wilkie, heard Poor Things is a wild one. I haven't seen it yet. It absolutely is a wild one. It's worth checking out. It's definitely a wild one. I've not actually seen any of the other director's other movies. I don't think I'm not even going to attempt his name. Is it up here? Does it say? Yeah, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Probably butchering the pronunciation of that name, but I think he did The Lobster and like another one or two random weird movies. I've not seen any of them, but Poor Things obviously got a lot of Oscar buzz, so I definitely did want to check it out. And then when it popped up on Disney Plus, I thought, well, I can easily check that out. Yeah, it's a weird one. Yeah. Let's see what else is in the chat. Did you see that? Yeah. Oh, much appreciated, mate. As always, much appreciated. Likewise. I enjoyed Poor Things. I'd watch it again and again. Emma Stone killed it. She absolutely did. I still haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon because I haven't been able to carve out 3.5 days to watch it because I've heard it's pretty long. But I think with the Oscar race for Best Actress was, from what I remember, was a 2-horse race between Lily Gladstone, I think, for Killers of the Flower Moon and Emma Stone for Poor Things. When the Oscars was on, I hadn't seen either of them, so I couldn't really, I didn't have any horse in that race. Since then, I've still not seen Killers of the Flower Moon because of the aforementioned 14-hour runtime. But I have seen Poor Things, and yep, she does give a brilliant performance. Wine Grace, it's I keep saying Wind Grace, but it's Wind Grace. Wind Grace. It's on Hulu in the States, FYI. Might also be on Disney. Do you mean Poor Things, Wind Grace? Yeah, so we don't have Hulu over here, I don't think, but I think the way Disney, the rights for Disney Plus works over here, I think pretty much anything that's on Hulu is on Disney Plus in the UK. Here in the UK, we have, in fact, let me just pull it up here because I can probably show it. So here in the UK, on Disney Plus, there's like a tab or a tile on Disney Plus that is called Star, and that's basically all of the can I log in from here to show it? Enter the 8-digit code you see on your... no, it's asking me to enter a code on the TV. The TV's in a different room, so that's not going to happen. Can I bring it up somewhere else here? This is basically just a long way of explaining that here in the UK on Disney Plus, there's a tab or a tile or an icon or whatever you want to call it that's called Star. Oh wait, I can show it. Hang on, 4720. Right, let me bring this over here. Yeah, okay, so if I bring this back up here, cut to this. So, let me clear your comment. In the UK, there's a, yeah, here it is here, so Star. So, I'm not sure, I don't think it works like that in the rest of the world, but basically the Star tab on Disney Plus is all of the, 15 or, R-rated and above content. So, like, if anything that's rated like 15, 18, like the Fox movies, like Die Hard and things like that, that's on Star, which is part of Disney Plus here in the UK. But as I understand it, in the States and in North America, you don't have that because all of that content is on Hulu, I think. Anyone from the States can maybe chime in and let me know if I'm talking rubbish about that or not. Yeah, let me just bring that back down. Go back onto the list. Stevie Dan, 1969. Oh yeah, Poor Things is on Disney Plus in the UK. Yeah, so it's a Disney Plus thing in the UK, but I think it works differently for the rest of the world. Anyway, that was Poor Things. It is weird, but it is good. Let's move on here. Hang on while I hit the cough button again. Let me take a drink of iron brew. So Poor Things. Then, what was the story behind Little Miss Sunshine again? Oh yeah, so this day here in the UK, 10th of March, was actually Mother's Day. They were showing a couple of, I don't want to say Mother's Day-esque movies at my local Cineworld. Well, they kind of were. They were showing Mamma Mia, and for some reason, this as a Mother's Day special, they made like a little thing about it where there was like a, you would they would put your ticket in a hat, and they would, somebody would win there was like a raffle prize at the end, like a box of chocolates and some flowers and something like that. Anyway, it was like a Mother's Day special screening. I thought my mum would probably quite like that movie. I'm almost sure she wouldn't have seen it, but I remember watching it when it came out. I'm looking there, it says 2006. In my mind, when I'd booked the tickets to take my mum to see it on Mother's Day, I thought to myself, when was that out? Maybe 10, maybe 15 years ago? Turns out it was 18 years ago. It's a great movie. Directed by, as it says there, Jonathan Dayton, and forgot the cough button that time, Valerie Faris. I'm not sure what else they've done, but I remember it being one of Steve Coogan's first dramatic roles. And he's really good in it. You've got a young Paul Dano in it. You've got Alan Arkin. I'm almost positive he was nominated and might have even won an Oscar for Little Miss Sunshine. I think it maybe won Best Screenplay as well, maybe Best Adapted Screenplay. But yeah, good movie. Mother dear enjoyed it as well, so that was a good wee day out. Let's see, what else did we watch in March? So that was like an afternoon showing. Came home and the family movie night, everyone had chose, well, not everyone, but I think the majority went for The Devil Wears Prada. And I think that was one of those movies, I don't think I'd ever actually sat down to watch it from start to finish. And ironically, that's also 2006, so that's an 18-year-old movie. It more or less holds up. I did quite enjoy it. I think most of the family that sat and watched it really quite enjoyed it as well. There's a few things kind of stood out to me being a little bit I don't want to say dangerous, but like the message that they were trying to send about like fashion and, you know, like the peer pressure of like, you know, of like young women and girls to look a certain way. I think they were trying to send a message about that, but they were trying to have their cake and eat it, ironically. And that they didn't really, I don't know how to describe it, just something felt a little bit off about some of the comments, and the fact that they weren't like addressed, and they weren't not rectified, but they didn't, you know, there was no resolution to that attitude and that behaviour to a certain extent. It felt like the movie was maybe saying that attitude and that behaviour is okay, which it isn't. You know, I've got two young girls in the house here, and don't want them thinking things like that. So that kind of rubbed me up the wrong way a little bit. But other than that, it's a charming movie. Meryl Streep is brilliant in it. Anne Hathaway's good in it. Emily Blunt, I think in one of her first roles. Stanley Tucci's great in it as well. Adrian Greener, I forgot he was in it, who's famous for Entourage, which is, you know, great, but also problematic from the male perspective as well. Anyway, let's not get too bogged down into that. What else did we watch in March? The 10th of March was a busy movie for movie day, so went to see Little Miss Sunshine at the cinema early afternoon, watched Devil Wears Prada, kind of like late afternoon dinner time, and then in the evening we watched To Kill a Mockingbird, because my partner had just finished reading the book. It's one of her favourite books. I think it's one of her favourite movies as well. I remember getting the steelbook for it, just because it was part of a bundle that was quite a good deal on eBay, and I don't think I'd ever watched the movie. Never read the book, not a huge book guy. But I had seen a stage version of it in London a few years ago. Hang on, cough button again. Yeah, so I saw a stage version of To Kill a Mockingbird a couple of years ago in London. I think it was an Aaron Sorkin adaptation. And, who was in it? Who was playing the lead? It's a relatively famous British actor. Not that famous because I can't remember his name. Anyway, that was quite good, the stage version. So we watched the movie. You can see why it's a classic movie. Obviously, it's, you know, what year is it? 1962. But it's set, I think, even earlier than that. It deals with a lot of adult themes, but it's kind of presented as like a kids' movie. Like, in a weird way, it reminded me of a Christmas Story. The way it was presented, and the way it was almost narrated. I know there isn't narration. Oh no, there is. Isn't there narration? Yeah, I think there's narration in To Kill a Mockingbird. There's definitely narration in A Christmas Story. It just reminded me of that. Classic movie, classic book, classic story. Let's jump into the chat here. So Mockingbird says, Gregory Peck is spectacular. He is exactly as Atticus is described in the book, which is a work of art in itself. So there you go. And yes, Scout narrates the movie. See, I knew that. Well, I didn't know that. I did think that though. So there you go. That's Mockingbird's thoughts on To Kill a Mockingbird. Something tells me she has a little fancy for Gregory Peck in that movie as well, but we don't need to go into that. So let's move on. What else did we watch in March? Yeah. So a couple of days later, I watched Ricky Stenicki. Sorry, having a coughing fit here. Yeah, every time I want to say the title Ricky Stenicki, I keep wanting to say The Ballad of Ricky Stenicki, because The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, the Will Ferrell car racing movie, that just pops into my head. This is a Amazon original. It's John Cena and Zac Efron and a couple of other people who are nowhere near as famous as those two dudes. It's actually pretty decent. It's kind of a throwaway funny one. John Cena it proves like where his strengths lie. I know when he first started doing movies, he was doing like, straight to DVD, WWE funded action movies like The Marine and 12 Rounds. And I can name them because, yes, I did watch them because, yes, I was and still am a huge WWE fan. WrestleMania this year was pretty epic, I have to say, if anyone watched that. Night 2 of WrestleMania was amazing. Anyway, back to the movies. Yeah, so Ricky Stenicki, it's a solid, like, 5 out of 10 movie, but it's elevated at least a point or two just on the charm and the comedic chops of John Cena. You can find the clips on YouTube, but like he plays a character called, does it say here what he's called? No, but so his character is like a Vegas performer who does cover songs, but like, sexually rude versions of cover songs. The montage in the movie of that bit is brilliant. I'm sure that clip is on its own, is all over social media, so you can check that out. You've probably seen it and not realised what it is or where it's from, but it's pretty hilarious. It's pretty hilarious. So yeah, Ricky Stenicki, not a great movie, but it does get an extra few points just on the pure charm and charisma of John Cena, who also, spoilers, made an appearance at WrestleMania Night 2 last night, I think. Again, I'm not sure whether today's Sunday or Monday. Yes, no, that was last night because that was Sunday. Let's jump back into the chat real quick here. So when Grace went, I went Atticus as Terminator for Halloween one year. Hang on, let me read that again. I went Atticus as Terminator. You're going to need to elaborate on that. That was... Oh, okay, hang on. Right. So, Atticus dressed as Terminator? Yep, basically. Well, more Terminator dressed as Atticus. And yes, that is indeed interesting. So, Atticus Ross as the Terminator. That's an interesting mashup. I'll say no more on that. Moving on. Let's clear that. So, yeah, Ricky Stenicki, pretty decent, pretty funny. It's on Prime for anyone who wants to check that out. Let's see what was next. And then the latter half of March, I can't remember why, but it wasn't a big movie month. American Fiction was one of the Oscar movies that I didn't get a chance to see before the Oscars, but then it popped up on Amazon Prime. This is really good. It's really good to see a movie that's like a grown-up movie that's about grown-up themes with grown-up dialogue and grown-up relationships that doesn't dumb itself down. It doesn't cater to the lowest common denominator. The dialogue, the script in it is brilliant. It's razor sharp. The wit in the dialogue and the script is razor sharp. Jeffrey Wright gives a career best performance. He was deservedly nominated for an Oscar. I think he was nominated for Best Actor. I mean, he was never going to win, given that he had Cillian Murphy up for Best Actor for Oppenheimer. But yeah, American Fiction is really good. Who else is in it? What's his name? The guy from This Is Us and the Predator movie. Sterling K. Brown. He's in it as well. He's really good in it. He kind of plays almost against type, and he plays it really well. But yeah, this is a really good movie. It's again, it's great to see a movie that just doesn't dumb itself down. It doesn't treat the audience like they're stupid. It's it's a grown-up movie about grown-up relationships and dealing with grief and loss and all of that stuff. Yeah, good movie. Quite enjoy it. Let's quickly jump back into the comments. Wilkie is saying, really want to see American Fiction. Heard really good things. Yeah, man, it's really good. It's on Prime. If you've got Prime, which I think most people do, because people just pay for it for the free postage, or not free because you're paying for it, but the expedited postage. Hang on, another coughing fit coming. It's really good. Definitely worth checking out. Yep, it is very good. Mockingbird and Stevie Dan 1969. The lead is in Westworld. Yes, he is. Jeffrey Wright is in Westworld. That's an interesting show. I watched that. I watched all 4 or 5 seasons of Westworld. It starts off really strong in season 1, and then I think it takes a bit of a dip in season 2. Definitely season 3 kind of brings it back a little bit in season 4. Once the I think once they leave the park and you go to like the wider world, I think it gets crushed under the weight of its own mythology a little bit. But season 1 of Westworld is definitely brilliant. Ed Harris is amazing in that, and yeah, Jeffrey Wright is in that as well. I don't think he's and at least in the first few seasons, he's not the lead, but I think by the last season, he's more or less one of the leads, along with that actress whose name escapes me. But yeah, Westworld, the show, I watched all of that, more or less enjoyed most of it, I would say. Hugo, thanks for tuning in, Hugo. Love American Fiction, hilarious, and definitely an interesting ending. I'm trying to remember how it ended. Yes, oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, definitely an interesting ending. Kind of like the movie within the movie, or the book within the movie, of the book of the movie within the movie. Yeah, good, interesting ending. Really did enjoy it. He looks familiar. Who looks familiar? Oh, you mean Jeffrey Wright? The 4K box set of Westworld, still to start season 3. If you stuck through season 1 and season 2, it's definitely worth just finishing it out. I think it's only like 8 or 10 episodes a season, so it's not a huge commitment. It's not like a network show where there's 22 episodes and 10 seasons of it. So you've got 240 episodes to watch. If you watch the first couple, it's definitely worth checking out. Yeah. Let's see. He is quite good. If you're talking about Jeffrey Wright, yeah, he's very good in this. Again, his Oscar nomination for American Fiction was absolutely 100% deserved. Right, that was American Fiction. And let's see if this wee thing actually works, if I can bring it up. So everyone watching, all 4 or 5 of you, if you haven't already hit that like button, do me a favour and hit that like button. And if I push this button, it should pop up just now. There you go. And subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Chances are you already have, because you got the notification of this live stream. Thank you very much. Westworld, let's sing on. What's the next comment? Hello, Real Filth Beetle. Thanks for tuning in. Westworld dropped off big time after season 1. Yeah. Would I say it dropped off big time? It definitely took a dip after season 1. If you watched season 1 and then you started season 2, yeah, there's definitely a drop in quality, I think. And then season 3 wasn't amazing either. But I do think by the end of it, they do bring it back. But again, once they leave the park and they're dealing with the wider world and the politics of of everything, it's too big, and it gets crushed under the weight of its own, mythology and lore, I suppose. But if you watch the first couple of seasons, it's worth checking out the end, because I think season 4, Jeffrey Wright gets a lot more to do, and he's really good. Stevie Dan, season 2 was good. Glad you liked it. I definitely think it took a dip from season 1, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible. There's certainly a lot of worse things on TV these days. Right, let's take a look at what else was on the watch list. Nearly coming to an end here. Roadhouse. Wait, why is it that one? We didn't watch that one first. We watched. Oh, I must have forgot to log it. Let me quickly do that just now. Roadhouse. So, there we go. Whatever date it was, something like March 20th, we watched the remake or the reimagining of Roadhouse, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. This was on my kind of radar for quite a while, more so because of the behind the scenes story of it, about how the director, Doug Liman, the guy who did the original Bourne Identity, he did Jumper, which is a kind of an underrated sci-fi movie from the 2000s as well, starring Hayden Christensen and Jamie Bell. I think Sam Jackson's in it as well. Anyway, so the director of that movie, Doug Liman, was boycotting the promotion of the movie because Amazon weren't releasing it in cinemas. It was going straight to their streaming service. I mean, there's more at play than any average Joe can understand. But as I understand it, the general gist of it was the movie was getting made, and the original plan was for it to have a cinema release, a theatrical release. Then Amazon bought MGM Studios, who were making the movie, or involved with the movie, producing it or distributing, or in whatever fashion they're involved. Amazon bought MGM Prime and then decided it wasn't going to cinemas, it was just going to go straight to streaming. The director wasn't happy about this because he wanted it to go on the big screen, as most directors do want. That's his side of the story. I think there's other sides of the story that I've read that the plan was for it always to go to streaming. Anyway, so there was the behind the scenes drama of it that was intriguing. Plus, it's a remake of Roadhouse by Doug Liman, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor. So that was definitely something that I wanted to watch. So we watched it, I think, the day or the day after it dropped on Amazon Prime. It's hard to talk about it without kind of giggling at Conor McGregor's performance, because, yeah, it's a performance. I think TikTok was just flooded with memes and green screen cutouts of him doing his hard man walk and talking about, like, what's going on here. I'm not going to do the voice, because he does his his own cartoonish voice better than anyone. As a movie, I think I'm a little bit down on it, more so than your average person. Hang on, no, there's coughing fit. Yeah, as a movie, I think I'm a little bit down on it, more so than your average person. It just felt like a little bit soulless, a little bit hollow and empty. It kind of felt like a total B movie that, like, Jake Gyllenhaal happened to be in. It was like a total B movie that happened to have an A-list star in it who, Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't really give a bad performance in anything. He was in one of my favourite movies of last year, The Covenant, the Iraq, the war movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. That was one of my favourite movies of last year. So yeah, so he's in this movie. It's okay. It felt a little bit soulless and a little bit empty. Like, the logistics of it and the geography of it, something just kind of like didn't quite click with me. And then obviously you've got Conor McGregor being Conor McGregor, which is, it's a good laugh just watching him act in that movie. I say that, given that I'm in the safety of my own little room, because, I would never say that to his face. But yeah, so we watched the Roadhouse remake. Wasn't that impressed with it, and immediately wanted to watch the original Roadhouse, the Swayze movie from, where is it, 1989. So we watched that, I think. Did we watch that right away after it? No, I think we watched it the next day. Yeah. And it's not just a nostalgia thing, but that's a better movie. I like the something that I thought was kind of lacking in the remake was the first movie is about him being a bouncer, and what does that, or a cooler, and what's involved in that, and like what is that job, and what do you do in that? Like, I like the scenes in the original where they're talking about how you be a bouncer and how you deal with people and how you treat people. Like, it seemed like a smaller, more self-contained, more believable story than the remake. And obviously it's, peak Swayze and, ripping people's throats out. Patrick Swayze ripping people's throats out in an 80s action movie. What's not to like? Let's quickly dive back into the comments. Let's see. Real Fifth Beatle season 1 was one of the greatest shows ever. Going back, talking about Westworld, yeah, it definitely was. I loved the puzzle element of season 1 of Westworld that Ed Harris was trying to figure out, and then the twist, the reveal at the end of season 1, which I'm not going to give away, is like right up there with like The Sixth Sense in terms of like, oh my god moments. I totally didn't see it coming. One of my friends who watches it as well, he said he saw it coming. He didn't see it coming. He just likes to say things like that. He also said he saw, the Sixth Sense twist coming. He didn't. He just likes to, pretend that he does. Mockingbird says, Roadhouse, Conor McGregor, he made for some hilarious scenes. He definitely did. Did he ever say, "Give me your belt"? Oh, Conor McGregor? Probably. Who knows? Oscar-worthy performance to McGregor. Yeah, no. I thought it was funny. They seemed to enjoy making road. They did all of the behind the scenes footage that I've seen. Like, everyone seems to be having a laugh. I think it's been fairly well received. Like, whatever it is on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is quite high. Yeah, I'm glad everyone's liking it. Like, I'd love to see more movies like that getting made by directors like Doug Liman. I didn't really dig this particular movie. Weak storyline, Swayze is perfection. I mean, yeah, both of those statements are true, not going to lie. Hugo Milos, I'm not even going to attempt your last name, mate. Hugo M, we'll just call you. Honestly enjoyed the remake, but it did feel quite lifeless. Everything was too clean and great. Yeah, like it felt like they were just the plot and the story was just like hitting predetermined beats, but that didn't quite make sense. Like, yeah, lifeless. I think I said soulless, but yeah, lifeless is a good way to describe it. Stevie Dan, he was the henchman with the red motorcycle, was hilarious. He was one of the best things in it. Like, it's one of those ones where you think, is that improvised or was that in the script? Either way, it was brilliant. If that was improvised, like, give that man a coconut, and a bonus, because that was brilliant. Like, the random chat that he has with Jake Gyllenhaal, even though he's a henchman, is hilarious. Let's see what else. The henchmen were hilarious. So that was Roadhouse. Let's see what's next. I think that pretty much brings us almost to the end of my watch list in March. The last movie that we watched in March was Zodiac. I cannot for the life of me remember why we watched Zodiac. I'd only seen it once when it came out, way back in 2007, like as it says there. I think we were in the mood to watch like a serial killer type drama. I think maybe my partner had been reading like a true crime book or something, and was in the mood for some true crime movies. So that's where that came from. Zodiac, good movie. Kind of like, I think it's sandwiched in between bigger, more famous movies from David Fincher. Like, it comes after Seven and Fight Club and The Game, and before The Social Network. So I think it's like it's sandwiched in between his movies that are kind of more famous, I would suppose. But really good movie. The methodical nature of it, the way it goes from case to case, is really quite fascinating. The special features on the DVD are equally fascinating and equally shocking and scary, I suppose, because they take you to the actual scenes where the murders happen, and they interview the survivors, and you're watching this as a fan of a fictional movie, but it's based on real life murders that happened. So there's like a weird, you get an uneasy voyeuristic feeling when you're enjoying a movie like that, and then when you watch the special features on the DVD, on the Blu-ray, that show you things like that, you kind of sit back and think, this is a weird feeling, but it's really interesting, so I'm going to keep watching. Yeah, so that was Zodiac, 2007 from David Fincher. Interestingly as well, one of the things that I might start doing because of that, there's a complete tangent, but there seems to be like a lost art form of DVD menus and DVD special features. The Zodiac disc, I wish I could put it on. I might actually clip this and put it on screen as well, as a short. The menu icons and text and buttons for the Zodiac DVD were jumbled up in code, like the Zodiac code, and they would reveal itself when you move the cursor or the clicker over it. And the way the menus kind of morphed from one to the other. I'm really not describing it well. I'll probably just try and do a separate video on that. But there seems to be, because most people watch movies on streaming now, people, studios don't really put that much effort into DVD or Blu-ray or 4K disc, into the menu design. So it's kind of like a lost art form. But the Zodiac one stood out as being quite cool. I did quite like that. So that was everything that I watched in March 2024. I'm going to hit the cough button again because I'm going to have a coughing fit. Sorry about that. Let's quickly dive back into the chat before we call it a night here. You're going to see The Rock in Cineworld this Thursday. Now that you've said that, I'm going to check if I can. Absolutely. I'd forgotten they were showing that this Thursday. I think I'm going to see tomorrow night. There's a Cineworld members screening of Civil War, of Alex Garland's Civil War. So I'm looking forward to going to see that. Zodiac is brilliant, great cast. It is brilliant. It is a great cast. I'm almost sure it's a pre Iron Man and pre Incredible Hulk. Obviously, it's a pre Iron Man Robert Downey Jr. and a pre Iron Man Mark Ruffalo, a pre Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal as well. So it's interesting to see. I think it came just before Iron Man. Yes, so Zodiac was 2007, and Iron Man was 2008. So yeah. It looks like the stream might be buffering for some reason. Why am I getting a poor connection? That's annoying. Robert Downey Jr. is always awesome. Special features are terrifying. They were. He is, and they were, definitely. Civil War looks great. Yeah, Civil War does look great. I'm very much looking forward to that. I think, has it already been out in America? I think it might have come out in America a week or two ago. I don't think it's been having great reviews. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I seem to be getting an error message on YouTube about the streaming quality, so apologies if this is buffering. I've had some random internet issues in the house here. So I'm going to call it a day there on the stream. Thanks very much to everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, it would be great if you could subscribe to the channel and like this video. And I will catch you in the next one. Thanks very much.